In October 2016, the First Minister made a commitment that Scotland would come together and love its most vulnerable children and give them the childhood they deserve. She asked me to chair the Independent Care Review to do a root and branch review of the care system. I knew that the most important thing that the Care Review would do would be to listen. Everyone at the Care Review and the team from 1,000 Voices worked really hard to properly listen to everyone that wanted to speak to the Care Review about their experiences. And this was over 5,500. Over half were children and adults who were care experienced and their families, the rest the unpaid and the paid workforce. And I'm so grateful to everyone who shared their story. So many shared the most traumatic, intimate experiences of their lives, in the knowledge that it could not change what happened to them in the past, but it could make a difference for Scotland's future. Every single thing that the Care Review heard has formed the basis of the conclusions it's reached and the reports it's produced. And the promise of change Scotland must make to its children and its families, built on 5 foundations. At the centre of this promise must be voice and listening. Children must be listened to and meaningfully and appropriately involved in decision-making about their care, with all those involved properly listening and responding to what children want and need. There must be a compassionate, caring decision-making culture focused on children and those they trust. This will require a shift in power, with children and families being listened to, and what they say must guide decisions that are made. Scotland must love its families. Where children are safe in their families and feel loved, they must stay, and families must be given support together to nurture that love and overcome the difficulties which get in the way. Scotland must do more to keep families together. It's really important that children are safe, but families also have to be nurtured. The Care Review has listened to what families need and developed 10 principles so all types of families can be supported. There will be times when children can't live with their families. If that happens, those children must be cared for. The Care Review heard lots of stories about what it feels like to live in care. Where living with their family is not possible, children must stay with their brothers and sisters where safe to do so, and belong to a loving home, staying there for as long as needed. Whenever it's safe to do so, brothers and sisters must stay together. Sibling relationships are lifelong, and Scotland must do everything it can to keep them together. Scotland must make sure that all children are loved and nurtured, and not stigmatised because they cannot live with their parents. Scotland has got to become a good parent. Scotland must also look after the people who help and support children and families. The children that Scotland cares for must be actively supported to develop relationships with people in the workforce and wider community, who in turn must be supported to listen and to be compassionate in their decision-making and care. The people that care for children are so important. They love, nurture and provide good relationships. Scotland must make sure they're also supported. And finally, the system must meet everyone's needs. Children, families and the workforce must be supported by a system that's there when it's needed. The scaffolding of help, support and accountability must be ready and responsive when it's required. At the moment, everything is too complicated, and there are rules and pressures that stop people doing the right thing. The whole support system has to be responsive so that children and families can be nurtured. The system must value what children and families value. Please read the reports the Care Review has produced. And more importantly, please commit to keeping the promise to Scotland's children, as by pulling together, we really can make sure that all children in Scotland grow up loved, safe and respected, so they can realise their full potential.